I had something happen to me the other day that has never happened to me. In all the times I've done gaming, I've been gaming since Pong, like I've said. Been a form of entertainment that I've preferred over pretty much any other form of entertainment. Um, I wouldn't call it a hobby myself. So I wouldn't compare it to other hobbies that I have. But I was going through Steam and I was looking at this game. And I just look at what I like to do is see the reviews. I kind of glance over there. If I see very positive, I'll check the game out. Um, I saw very positive. If I see early access, I'm kind of like, that could taint the review a little bit because it could cause people to be very positive about the future, and then you end up with something that's not so hot. That's happened to me before. And I looked at it and I was reading through a few reviews, and it said something about EA. And I don't know that, I have to be honest, I don't remember. I thought this was an early access game. I could be wrong. And I was like, this can't be an EA game. And I was like blown away that it was an EA game. And I was like, oh, no, no, no. I would never, I'm not even going to look at it. Like, I clicked away. And I realized that was the first time I've ever looked at a game and just said, oh, no, not with that publisher. There's just no chance. And I started thinking about the psychology there. What's going on with me? And I think it stems back to Andromeda a little bit, where I was really thrown back by Andromeda. I mean, Bioware had made very few missteps at this point. Even the problems that their games did have, like the ending of the third Mass Effect game, I thought that was minor when you look at the whole scope of the entire trilogy. I was like, well, okay, yeah, I mean, I get the idea that you made all these choices and you want them to amount to something in the end. I honestly didn't think that was a real possibility anyway. So I was like, I don't think you could make that good to begin with. So I wasn't too worried about it. I didn't have a big issue with that. But, man, Andromeda felt like going to a job. It felt like going to a job. So I was like, okay, look, this ain't cutting it. This isn't cutting it. And then Anthem came out. Now, I was looking at what Anthem was going to be, and I just thought, this just looks like a Destiny ripoff. It just looks like a Destiny ripoff. I was on PlayStation Network talking to some friends that were playing Battlefield together. And the guy was like, man, I cannot wait for Anthem. Y'all won't even hear from me. I asked him, I said, what do you see in this game? And he was just a younger guy. And I was like, I just can't see how this game's going to be good. It just looks like just Destiny, but reskinned. Now, in fairness, I don't actually think now that Anthem's much like Destiny at all. In fact, I think they did a really good job, creating quite a large partition between themselves and Destiny. But it's just not. I was shocked. It was a train wreck, an absolute train wreck. Now, Battlefield 5, when it came out, was just abysmal. I could not believe how poorly DICE had performed as a developer. And they just seemed so lost. To the point that I thought, when things were said and done, I thought the next Battlefield they have to hit it out of the park. And I thought they understood that. I thought they would understand how important it was that the next Battlefield was a big hit. And it wasn't, obviously. Woo! And if you don't believe me, go ahead and you must be new to games, because it's really bad. And all this has me thinking about the future of gaming. And I've talked here about observing patterns. All right, let me take you back just a little bit. I promise I'm going to get to the point here. I thought Dragon Age Inquisition was really good. It kind of did the same thing Baldur's Gate did. Now, if you youngins out there don't know this, but Baldur's Gate came at the perfect time. The perfect time. The RPG genre was just dead. It was just dead. Here comes this game. Not only was it an RPG, it was innovative, and it didn't shy away from being an RPG. It just went full bore RPG. It was a hardcore RPG experience. It took me a while to get around to playing it, because I just didn't think anybody was going to make any good RPGs. I didn't have much confidence in it. And I started playing it, and I got hooked. Man, I got hooked. I couldn't believe how they had rendered the second edition rules to D&D, had just transferred very well into the video game world, which was very novel at that time. And that should be a subject for another time, but that's kind of what made that game so interesting. A lot of people don't realize that because it's old news now, but that ability to take a system and make it work in a video game like that was very unique. That said, I don't know if you're aware of what's going on behind the scenes with the next Dragon Age, but its development cycle sounds a lot like Anthem. A lot like Anthem. Wishy-washy, no leadership. And the thing with Anthem was you could tell there was no leadership. There's no one saying, and the stories behind Anthem was just, they'd be working on something, they would change their mind. And it must have been very disheartening for a developer to put their work into this and just have it, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do it this way. And the same thing has happened with Dragon Age 4. With Dragon Age 4, if you haven't heard the original ideas for this Dragon Age that was coming up that they just completely got rid of, you were, I think, thieves or some kind of band of outlaws. And you were just trying to build up your, it was this sort of free roaming, as I understood anyway, this sort of building yourselves up. It sounded amazing. No, they just, no go. And I'm like, if that isn't a good enough idea, what is a good enough idea? Well, of course, another looter shooter, right? They thought it was until Anthem bombed. And then the Star Wars single-player game, the name of it's escaped me at the time, did well. And all of a sudden now they wanted Dragon Age to be a single-player game. Now, let's go back to BioWare. Let's talk about real BioWare Magic. When Baldurs Gate came out, the RPG genre was dead. No one was making RPGs. No one wanted to play RPGs, okay? They didn't care. They went for it. That's called leadership. That's called passion. They had leadership, they had passion, and they just went for it. And they did something no one had ever done. Taking D&D second edition and making that into a video, to use those mechanics. I mean, do you realize how nuanced that is? That's not a broad appeal. Boom. Sold like crazy. I knew tons of people talking about it. And by the way, well, anyway, the point here I'm going to make here is that given what I'm seeing at trending in gaming, the only way Dragon Age 4 can be any good is a miracle. You should put no confidence, absolutely no confidence into any EA game, but certainly not into Dragon Age 4. I want to say one last thing about it. And I think this is really important. When you hear BioWare, what do you see in your head? I see that blue font, right? When I think of DICE, I think of that red image, with the words DICE in it. Those EA, if developers aren't people, what are these companies? What are these development companies? I mean, if the developers lose their people, what are they? They're a font. BioWare and DICE are fonts. The people are long gone. Those developers are long gone. And look, I promise I said that was the last thing. I do have one more thing to say. I'm looking at trailers, particularly like release trailers, which are still cinematic. This is a release trailer, and it's a cinematic trailer. You should downvote and make comments about every cinematic trailer you see as being information light. They are playing on your imagination. When you have one of these trailers come out, they want to get into your imagination and make you think the game is what you're imagining it is. And you go back to these past experiences and think, oh, this could come back. And it can't, because they don't have the people anymore because EA drove them away. Good job, EA, paying for a font. Really good job, because you chased the people, the only thing that really matters, away. And the next people that are going away are the gamers. And I mean, I cannot be the only one. I promise. I buy a lot of EA games, and it's like now, I don't think I could ever. I'd have to really rethink buying any EA game, no matter who the font, whatever font you put on there as a developer doesn't matter anymore. Anyway, hey, I'm not cheering for. I hope I'm wrong. I actually hope Dragon Age 4 is great. I love the Dragon Age series. It is really good, but because it's the spiritual successor of Baldur's Gate. But I have absolutely no confidence